Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and thank you for joining me here on the Mythical Vaper channel. Today what we're going to be talking about is coil building, what type of wires to use for building coils and everything along those lines. So it's going to be a short video about basic coil building. For any of you experienced vapors, probably not going to be the most interesting. You probably will know everything I'm going to say, but hopefully you'll stay around and still watch the video, and hopefully there'll be something good in there for you. This is mainly tailored towards the vapors that don't have as much experience with RDAs and coil building and the like. So I hope you stick around and enjoy the video. What I'm going to be talking about is the different type of wires we use and the different ways you can wrap coils and everything like that. It is going to be quite simplistic, and we're going to be doing some more complex builds in the future. So what we're going to do is talk about the different type of wires you can get down the different type of gauges, and also the different ways that you can wrap wires. It's quite simple, and I hope you stay around and you enjoy the show. So it is quite easy and self-explanatory. We're just going to be doing basic coil and theory behind it. So I'm going to talk about the different type of wires and gauges and everything you can use, as well as the options of getting pre-built coils and pre-wrapped wire. So what you can use there is pre-wrapped wire, for example Clapton, which we'll go into. You can get that pre-made rather than having to make it yourself. But we'll go into all that shortly. Right, so what we're going to be doing is looking at the different types of coils you can get. For example, I've got a package here which is the U'd wire box. This comes with a various amount of different wires, pre-wrapped and of different materials. And I've also got some standard Coil wire of different gauges that we'll talk about as well. I've also got with me a Coil Master kit that I actually got for Christmas about a year to 2 years ago. I will be using that. I'll go through, talk a little bit about that, but I'm going to be getting a new one of these that I'll be doing a review of soon, so hopefully you'll be able to come around for that one. And what I've also got is a small drill, and I will explain what the use of that is for later. You may know about the trick with a drill if you've already been vaping and using RDAs for a while, but it's something I do just to straighten the wires out, make it a lot easier. It is a well-known trick, it's not that hard to do, and we'll just go from there. So essentially the different types of wires are used. We've got Coil, which I've got in multiple gauges with me now. Coil is the basic wire that comes in most devices. How this works and how the wire itself actually heats up and produces your vapor is the resistance of the wire. The resistance of the wire goes against the electricity. So if you imagine water going down a well, friction or water going down a well for that example, it could go down the well, and as the water is running past the outside, it's heating up the pipe because of the friction of it going past. As you put in more and more resistance and more blockers, the same amount of water has got to go through a smaller hole, making more friction, thus heating it up. Not the best analogy, but it will work. But the main thing is that because of the resistance, it then, as the electricity passes through, it causes heat, which will then heat up your coil, heating up your liquid. There are other types such as titanium, nichrome, nickel, stainless steel, multiple others. What they do is their resistance actually changes under temperature. So for example, 4 inches of nickel under normal room temperatures could be a resistance of 0.2, but when heated up it becomes resistant to over 100 degrees. It could then become a 0.3, 0.4 resistance coil. What temperature control devices do is they read that, and they will then adjust the power going to the device to keep the temperature down. That's how temperature control devices work. There are also different types of wires you can get, in the sense of you can get Clapton wires as one example. What a Clapton wire is it is a wire such as this with another wire wrapped around it. What that does is that increases the surface tension for the same amount of power. So the electricity will go through the inner coil, because that is the shortest and straightest distance. While that is heating up the inside coil, the core of the Clapton, that then heats up the external, which is giving you more surface area than just the initial coil, but for the same amount of power, so it does give you a bit more vapor. There are more complex ones such as alien coils and things like that. We will go into videos, and hopefully I might be able to get a couple of pictures up on here of different types of coils. If you're interested in the different types of wire coil and everything, do pop onto something like Pinterest is a good place. Just type in vape coils, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of photos and things like that on there. There's also a couple of other YouTube channels that do show you how to build different coils and specialise in that sort of area. So I hope you pop over to see them, because they're all nice guys over there from what I'm aware. And they do good programs. I watch their footage and I hope one day they'll end up watching mine. And that is pretty much it. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it today. I hope you enjoy the code that's coming out, and thank you for joining me. Goodbye. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and thank you for joining me here on the Mythical Vaper channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is just giving you a quick run through of how to wrap a couple of coils and go through the different type of wires that you can use and things like that for building RDA and RTA devices. So I'm just going to do a quick wrap for you. The rest of it is all straightforward. I'm going to show you here quick how to wrap a really simple quick coil. It's not that hard, you only need a couple of things that I'll show you now. What you need for this is some form of wire, not some form of wire, don't just go and use any old wire, that was a bit stupid of me to say. So you need some form of vape wire. What I tend to use is Canthal, unless I'm using a temperature controlled device. I will explain why you can't use Canthal for temperature control. You can use other types such as stainless steel, titanium, nichrome, things like that. But this is just simple, very free Canthal A1 wire. Unfortunately it did kind of come loose a little bit from the spool, but there's not much I can do about that. I'm not going to go through the effort of reattaching it back onto the spool. So I'm just going to cut a bit of this off now for you. And chuck that away. So essentially when wrapping a coil, there are a couple of tips and tricks you can do. So it is easier the straighter your wire is. So what you can do is either just go through and straighten it with your fingers, or one tip that you can do is if you have a drill with a tight enough chuck on it, you can lock this into the drill, hold pliers to the other end, spin it, and what that'll do is actually put tension on the wire and straighten it out for you. Then once it looks nice and straight and you can see the curves, just pull it tight with your pliers and drill. It will keep it there, and then when you take your hands off it will be nice and straight. I'm not going to do that today because I don't have a drill with a tight enough chuck on it, unfortunately. But what I am going to do is show you the sort of things that I use to do this. So I tend to have, well, I don't tend to have, I have a coil master kit, which is a present that I got a couple of years ago for Christmas, and it's quite simple. It comes with a lot of tools you can use, such as pliers, clippers, screwdrivers. It's also got tweezers to pull cotton through, and it's got ceramic tweezers to use to press against the coil if you're doing dry firing, which I'll show you in another video. But essentially for now, all I'm going to show you is how to do it quickly round the easiest thing that most vapors have, which is the blue screwdriver. If you don't know what the blue screwdriver is, buy an RDA, you will know what the blue screwdriver is, sometimes red, but normally the blue screwdriver. So, easiest thing, you hold your wire up against your screwdriver handle, place your thumb over the wire, and then you simply wrap it round the end of the screwdriver, the neck of the screwdriver. I tend to do 6 wraps, and what you want to do is, as you do this, just wrap it back and forth as close as you can get it to the previous wrap, because that will make it a lot less fiddly later down the road. So once you've wrapped it all together, I tend to just give it a quick push back onto there, and there you go. You've got one wrapped coil, very simply and rudimentarily wrapped. You would then cut your legs off to the right point, thread that into your device, and that will work in your device essentially. What you've got to remember is if you're using multiple coils, so if you're using a dual coil device, you want to make sure that they're the same amount of wraps and roughly the same amount of wire is used. The reason that is because electricity will take the shortest path. So if you've got one coil that is 4 wraps and one coil that is 6 wraps, the electricity will mainly pass through the 4 wrap coil, which will heat that side up more than this side, which would heat that side up rather than the side with high resistance. The multiple problems you've got with that is, one, if you're putting juice into your tank, only one side of your tank's going to be firing as high, so that's going to be dry and the other side's going to still be wet. The other problem you've got is it can end up overpowering and shorting out certain devices. It is rare, but it can happen. So that is essentially it. I'm going to try and do some close-up footage of wrapping a coil, but I've got a feeling that my camera won't hold up to it. But we'll give it a go. I am, as I said, going to do an in-depth coil build project in the future, where I'm going to show you how to install it into an RDA. I'm going to do a couple different builds. I'm going to show you how to wick it and everything as well. But that is essentially all the information you need to know to get started. The more you do it, the better you'll get. You can eventually just hold it on, wrap a 6 coil in a couple of seconds, and it's done. But I would suggest just playing around. Make sure that you do it safely. If you can, get an ohms checker for your RDA. Devices that do read the resistance of an RDA is useful, but I'd rather have an ohms checker, because then you don't have to have a live battery that can power the device attached to it before testing. An ohms checker, essentially, once you've wired up your RDA, you plug it into the ohms tester, turn it on, and it will read out the current resistance of your coil. I'm going to do a video on Ohm's law soon that will explain what resistances are safe with what things, to avoid overheating, venting and everything like that. You do want to familiarise yourself with Ohm's law. If you're going to be building your own coils, you do want to know what you're doing, because it can be dangerous. It's not very often, as long as you know what you're doing. It's the same as anything. Using a hammer to hammer in a nail is completely safe, as long as you're not messing about and hitting yourself in the hand. It's a safe thing to do. As long as you know what you're doing and you're not messing about, you should be fine. But either way, I hope you enjoy what you've seen today. I hope you enjoy the video. I apologise that I've prattled a little bit, and I hope to see you again next week. Goodbye. So thank you for sticking with me here for the Mythical Vaper code reveal. Essentially what I'm going to be doing, for those of you who are not aware for this part of the show, what I'm going to do is flip over one card from each of these 3 piles, which will then give you entitlement for a discount on mythicalvapors.co.uk. I'm not quite sure what it is. I flip it over, it will give you a discount amount, a discount product range, and a period of time or amount of uses that it can be used for. If you're not sure how it works, you can pop back and see one of my older videos if you want, or stay with me and you'll see in the next 5 to 10 seconds. But I hope you enjoy, and I hope you find it of any use. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to flip over one card from each pile, and when I do, you'll be offered a discount based on what comes out of the card. So one pile is the discount amount, one pile is the range it applies to, and the other one is the period of time or amount of days that it applies for you to use. So without further ado, we'll flip it over, see what the code is, and we'll go from there. So we have 50%. So we have 50% off of any DIY e-liquid products from Mythical Vapors for the next 10 days. So what that means is, for the next 10 days, 50% off all DIY liquids. I believe that includes kits, accessory packs, flavour concentrates, possibly, I'm not 100% sure. But if you head over, I'm sure you'll be able to find out. Just enter the code that is appearing on the screen now. That code will entitle you to use this 50% off for the next 10 days. So I hope people for the next 10 days. So I hope this is of some help to some people. If you're looking at starting doing DIY liquid, I did do a video last week about DIY liquid. Slightly upset this didn't come out last week, but if you're interested in DIY liquid, or you're looking to replace your stocks, head over to Mythical Vapors. They've got what you need, and apparently for 50% off. So that's essentially all from me today. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, comment and subscribe. I do apologise about the focus on my camera. I will hopefully will get that corrected soon. I hope it all comes out nice. I haven't actually seen the footage yet. I know it was a little bit dodgy. So anyway, thank you for staying with me, thank you for joining me, and good night.